The night was quiet, the forest calm, the stars spread wide across the dark sky. Inside a small wooden cabin, a human man lived alone. His life was simple, his days slow, and his nights silent. He liked the silence. He liked being far away from the noise of the city. But that night was different. He heard something outside, footsteps heavy, fast, broken branches snapping under weight. His heart jumped. He thought it might be a wild animal. But then he heard a sound that was not from any animal. It was sharp, heavy breathing like someone running for life. Before he could move, his door burst open. A figure fell inside. The man froze. A young alien woman stood there, tall, beautiful, but terrifying. Her skin glowed faint green under the lantern light. Her eyes shone like burning gold, and strange scars marked her arms. She carried weapons strapped across her back, a deadly rifle and two sharp blades. She looked like danger itself. Yet she was weak, her steps shook, her clothes torn, her body bleeding from deep wounds. She leaned on the doorframe, gasping. The man did not know who she was, but he could see her strength. He could see her eyes, cold, sharp, but also desperate. For a moment, they only stared at each other. Silence filled the room. The man's hand shook near the table, where a small kitchen knife lay. The alien raised her hand slowly, but instead of reaching for her weapons, she collapsed on the wooden floor. He rushed forward. Against his fear, she was bleeding. Her skin burned under his touch, hotter than human skin. But she was alive. He grabbed cloth, water, anything he could find. His hands moved fast, cleaning her wounds, tying them with old bandages. She opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was soft but heavy with power. "Why help me, human?" she whispered. Her accent was strange, but her words were clear. The man hesitated. His mind screamed at him to push her out, to run. But he said only one thing: "Because you are hurt." Her eyes narrowed. She studied him like a hawk studies prey. She did not trust him, but she did not stop him. Her breath slowed. Her body relaxed a little. For the first time, she was not holding her weapons. For the first time, she looked less like a killer, more like someone running from death. Outside, in the forest, strange shadows moved. The man's ears caught faint sounds, footsteps, voices, something hunting. He looked at the alien woman. He did not know her name. He did not know her story. But he knew one thing: whoever chased her was close. She sat up weakly, her hand on his arm, her voice colder now. "They will come. They will kill me. They will kill you too if they find me here." The man felt fear crawl inside him. Yet he stood still. He had lived alone for so long. No one had ever knocked on his door. No one had ever needed him. Now this alien, dangerous and hunted, had come to him. He could throw her out and save himself, or he could keep her inside. He looked at her again, her face strong but tired, her eyes full of shadows. She was the galaxy's deadliest assassin, though he did not yet know her name. But in that moment, she was just a wounded soul on his floor. The lantern flickered, the night grew darker, and the man made his choice. He locked the door. He whispered, "Stay quiet. I will not let them find you." Her golden eyes widened, not with fear, but with surprise. For the first time in her life, someone had chosen to protect her. The hunt was near, danger was close, but inside that small cabin, a new story had just begun. The cabin was filled with silence. Only the sound of firewood crackling and her heavy breaths broke the night. The human sat beside her, watching the strange alien woman who had collapsed inside his home. He had no answers, no plan, only the instinct to help. She was dangerous. Anyone could see that. Her scars told stories of battles. Her weapons told stories of death. Her eyes, golden and sharp, told the story of someone who had never known rest. But now she sat against the wall, weak, her chest rising and falling slowly, as if each breath was a fight. He gave her water. She looked at the glass as if it was poison. Her hands trembled when she reached for it. She sniffed it, her nose twitching, then finally drank. Her throat moved with each gulp. She set the glass down and stared at him. "Human," she whispered, her voice sharp even in weakness. "You should not have done this. Do you know who I am?" He shook his head, no. She leaned back, her face hidden by shadows. "I am hunted by every soldier, every hunter, every killer in the galaxy. I am the shadow they fear. I am the one they whisper about. If you hide me, they will burn your world for it." Her words carried weight, but the human did not move. He had lived in silence for so long that fear no longer ruled him. He simply said, "Then let them come." For the first time, her eyes showed confusion. No one had ever said those words to her. People ran, people begged, people betrayed her for their own lives, but this human, this simple man with nothing but a cabin, did not care. The night dragged on. The human cleaned her wounds again. He saw the strange blue blood mix with human bandages. He did not understand her biology, but he tried. She watched him with narrowed eyes, her hand twitching near her blade, but she never drew it. She let him work. When dawn came, light broke through the small window. The forest looked calm again. Birds sang, dew shone on the grass. It felt like a new world, but danger had not left. Shadows moved beyond the trees. Figures cloaked, scanning, searching. The assassin's ears twitched, her body tensed. She whispered, "They are here." The human froze. He had heard nothing, but then he too caught faint echoes. Metal boots on soil, whispers in a language not human. She pushed herself up, her body still weak. "I must go, I cannot stay, you will die if I stay." The man blocked the door with his hand, his voice calm. "You can barely walk. They will kill you the moment you step outside." Her lips curled into a cold smile. "Then they will kill us both." The human shook his head. He moved to the window. He saw shadows pass between trees, tall, armored, carrying strange weapons that glowed faint red. They were close, too close. He turned back to her. "You need a rest. Let me handle this." She laughed bitterly, a sound that carried both pain and pride. "You, a simple man, handle them. You have no idea what you face. Human armies fall before them. Planets burn before them." He did not answer. Instead, he grabbed an old hunting rifle from the corner. It was nothing compared to her alien weapons, but it was something. She stared at him, her golden eyes wide. For a moment, she almost looked amused. "You are either brave or foolish," she said softly. "Maybe both." The sound of movement outside grew louder. The human crouched low, peeking through cracks in the wall. He could see their armor now, shining like black steel. He could hear their voices, harsh and cold. The assassin whispered, "They're bounty hunters. They will not stop. They smell weakness. They smell fear." The human whispered back, "Then we give them neither." She looked at him, and for the first time, a spark of respect lit in her eyes. She leaned her head back against the wall, her strength slowly returning. She let him take the first watch. She let him stand guard. Hours passed. The hunters searched the forest, circling the cabin but not yet entering. The man's heart beat fast. His hand shook, but he stayed silent, still, waiting. The assassin closed her eyes. Her mind raced. She had been trained to trust no one, to kill before being killed. Yet this human, this fragile creature of flesh and bone, had chosen to protect her. She whispered to herself, almost too quiet to hear why. But no answer came, only silence. The day stretched long, the forest tense, the cabin a small island in a sea of danger, and inside, two strangers sat, one human and one assassin, bound by chance, waiting for the storm to break. The forest grew darker as the day slipped away. Long shadows stretched between the trees, and the sound of armored boots echoed in the distance. The human stood by the window, his hunting rifle gripped tight. His breath came slow and steady, but his heart raced like a drum. He knew the hunters were close. He could feel their presence in the stillness of the air. The alien assassin leaned against the wall, her wounds wrapped in cloth, her golden eyes half open, her body still weak, but her mind sharp. She listened, every sound reaching her ears before the human could notice. She whispered, "They're moving in a circle. They will close the trap soon." The human glanced at her. "Then we wait." She shook her head slowly. "You do not understand them. They are not simple hunters. They are shadows with armor. They track blood, heat, breath, even fear to them. Your cabin is already glowing like fire in the dark." The human's grip tightened on the rifle. He whispered, "Then let them come. Outside, the trees bent in the wind. Figures moved through the mist, tall and heavy, with glowing red visors and weapons that pulsed with alien energy. Their voices carried low, harsh, in a language that sent chills through the human spine. The assassin raised her head, her eyes glowing faintly. They want me alive, but they will kill you without thought. If you stand by me, you are already dead. The man did not answer. He looked at her and saw not a killer, not a monster, but someone running, someone tired, broken, hunted, and still she sat with pride, refusing to beg, refusing to surrender. Hours passed as the hunters searched, circling closer. The sound of branches snapping grew sharper, the glow of their visors nearer. The cabin walls felt thin as paper against the storm about to break. The assassin tried to rise, her body shook. Her hand pressed her side where blood still leaked. She stumbled but caught herself. Her voice was sharp. I cannot sit here while you fight for me. I am not prey. I am death itself. The human stepped forward, blocking her, his voice firm. You are too weak. If you fight now, you die. If you die, they win. Her jaw tightened. She hated the truth in his words. For the first time in her life, she was powerless. She lowered herself back to the floor, her golden eyes never leaving him. The hunters drew near. Two stopped at the edge of the clearing, their red visors scanning the cabin. The human's finger rested on the trigger of his rifle. His breath slowed. His hands no longer shook. He had never fought an alien, never faced warriors from another world, but something inside him had changed the moment she fell through his door. He was no longer only a man of silence. He was someone standing between her and death. The assassin whispered, almost to herself, Why risk it? Human, you owe me nothing. He whispered back, Because you are here. The words struck her deeper than any blade. She stared at him, searching his face for lies, but she found only calm. The hunters stepped closer, their weapons raised, red light cutting through the dark. They spoke into their comms, a signal. The cabin was marked. The assassin's hand twitched toward her blade, but she stopped. She was not ready. Her strength had not returned. Her pride ached. For the first time, she was forced to trust someone else. The human moved closer to the door, his body tense, his ears catching every sound outside. He whispered without turning back, Stay low. If they break in, we fight together. Her lips curled into a small, bitter smile. Together, she repeated, tasting the word like it was strange on her tongue. The air outside grew colder. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The hunters tightened their circle. The cabin was a trap now, one spark away from fire. The assassin closed her eyes for a moment, her mind racing. She remembered blood on her hands, battles across planets, screams in the dark. Yet here, in a wooden cabin, with a human who should have run, she felt something she had never known. Silence and a strange safety. The human raised his rifle, steady, calm. The hunters stepped into the clearing, red light glowing on their weapons, their voices sharp and final. The storm was no longer outside. It was here at the door. And when the first hand reached for the handle, both the human and the assassin knew their fight had only just begun. The first knock on the wooden door was not gentle. It was heavy, hard, and full of threat. The human's hands tightened on his rifle. His breath slowed as he moved close to the door. The assassin's golden eyes followed him, sharp and restless. She could hear every click of alien armor outside, every word spoken in their harsh tongue. Another strike hit the door. The wood cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling. The assassin tried to stand, her legs shaking under her weight. Her hand reached for her blade, but her body betrayed her. She collapsed back against the wall, her teeth clenched in rage. You should leave me, she whispered, her voice like broken glass. If you open that door, they will kill you in seconds. The human shook his head, his voice calm, steady. Then I won't open it. The hunters outside spoke louder, their weapons buzzing with energy. They knew their prey was inside. They knew the cabin was fragile. One more strike and the door would fall. The assassin's chest rose and fell fast. She hated this weakness. She hated depending on anyone. Yet she could not deny the truth. She would not survive without him. The human glanced back at her, his eyes met hers. He said softly, "Trust me." Her lips curled in disbelief. Trust was a word that never belonged to her life. In her world, trust meant death, betrayal, loss. But here, in a wooden cabin with a man who had no reason to stand for her, the word burned in her chest like fire. The door cracked again. Splinters flew across the floor. The human crouched low, his rifle aimed at the frame. His heart pounded. He could hear them outside, heavy breaths through metal masks. He whispered to her, "When they come through, stay down." The assassin almost laughed. "Stay down. I was born for war, Her words broke as pain surged through her body, reminding her she was not yet herself. She swallowed her pride and nodded. "Fine." The final strike came. The door burst open with a deafening crash. The hunters poured in, tall, armored, glowing red in the lantern light. They looked like shadows made of iron. Their weapons hummed with power. The human fired first. His rifle barked, the sound shaking the cabin. A hunter fell back, armor pierced. The others roared, their voices deep and unearthly. They returned fire. Beams of red light cut across the wooden walls. Splinters exploded. Smoke filled the air. The assassin rolled to the side, grabbing one of her blades. Her body screamed in pain, but her spirit refused to bow. She launched forward, her golden eyes blazing. Her blade met the neck joint of an armored hunter. Sparks flew as metal split. The creature collapsed. The human and assassin moved in strange rhythm. He fired, she struck. He covered her when she stumbled. She shielded him when fire came too close. It was not perfect, but it was survival. One hunter kicked the table aside, charging at the human. The man braced himself, his rifle raised, but the weapon jammed. He froze in that instant. The assassin leapt, her blade flashing. She drove it through the hunter's chest, saving him. She landed near him, blood dripping down her arm. Her voice sharp but steady. "Do not hesitate. Do not freeze. They will not." He nodded. His rifle cleared. He fired again, dropping another. The battle raged inside the small cabin. Fire and smoke mixing with the smell of alien blood. The wooden walls burned in places, holes torn open by energy blasts. The forest outside echoed with the chaos. Birds fled into the sky. Finally, silence fell. The last hunter dropped to the floor, his armor smoking. The cabin was wrecked, but still standing. The human lowered his rifle, his arms trembling from the weight of fear and fight. The assassin leaned against the wall, breathing hard, her face pale, her body covered in wounds both old and new. Yet her eyes glowed with something different now. She looked at him not as prey, not as fool, but as ally. "You fought like a warrior," she whispered, almost grudgingly. "Not many humans would stand against them. Not many would still be breathing." The man gave a small smile. "Maybe because I wasn't fighting for myself." Her golden eyes widened. Her chest tightened with a feeling she could not name. For years she had lived with only contracts, money, death. No one had fought for her, no one had cared, but this human had risked his life without asking why. She lowered her blade, her voice softer. "Then perhaps I will trust you." The fire crackled in the broken cabin. Outside, the night grew darker again, but inside, something had shifted. The galaxy's deadliest assassin, feared across worlds, had spoken words she never thought possible. And the human, a man who once lived in silence, now stood with her, bound not by fear, but by the first spark of trust. The night did not bring peace. The hunters that had fallen inside the cabin were only the first wave. Their bodies smoked on the floor, their red visors broken. But their signal had already gone out. Reinforcements would come, stronger, faster, and in greater numbers. The human stood in the wreck of his cabin, his rifle heavy in his hands. His arms ached, his chest burned, but his eyes did not falter. He looked at the alien assassin leaning against the wall. She was weak, her wounds deep, but her spirit was alive like fire. "They will come again," she whispered, her golden eyes sharp. "And this time, they will not stop until nothing is left standing." He nodded. "Then we prepare." She tilted her head, studying him. This simple human who should have run now spoke, as if he had stood in battles all his life. His silence, his steady voice, gave her something strange, calm. They worked quickly. The man pushed broken furniture against the holes in the walls. The assassin guided him, showing where to place cover, teaching him how to angle defenses. She could not fight at her full strength, but her mind was still the mind of a warrior. He listened to her, every word. He tied traps with wire and old tools. He set sharp stakes near the windows. He filled bottles with fuel, ready to light. His cabin became a fortress, small but defiant. As they worked, the assassin watched him. She saw no greed in his eyes, no fear of her. He was human, fragile. Yet he stood beside her without hesitation. For the first time in her life, she felt what it meant to not fight alone. The sound of the forest changed. The birds went silent. The wind stilled. Then came the distant hum, deep and metallic. The assassin froze, her eyes narrowing. "Drop ship," she hissed. "They're bringing more." The human moved to the door, his rifle ready. He could see lights flicker in the distance, red and white against the trees. The hum grew louder, shaking the earth. The assassin forced herself to stand. She grabbed her rifle, her body trembling but her grip steady. "This time we fight together," she said, not as command but as promise. The human gave a short nod. Together. The dropship roared above the trees, its engines tearing the night. It hovered, and from its belly poured more hunters, armored, armed, their visors glowing like blood. They landed with heavy thuds, forming a circle around the cabin. The human's heart pounded. His cabin seemed small, too small, against the storm outside. But he did not step back. He stood tall, his finger on the trigger. The assassin stood beside him, her golden eyes blazing. The first blast came. A beam of red fire smashed into the wall. Wood exploded. Smoke filled the air. The hunters charged, their boots shaking the ground. The human fired, his rifle barking again and again. He dropped one, then another. His aim was not perfect, but his will was iron. The assassin's rifle sang beside him, her shots fast, precise. Her body screamed in pain, but she fought through it. The hunters pressed closer. Beams cut across the cabin. The fire spread. Smoke thickened. The heat grew. The human coughed but kept shooting. The assassin leapt forward, her blade flashing. She cut down one, then spun and struck another, her movements fierce though every step hurt. A hunter crashed through the window, tackling the human. They fell to the floor, the rifle knocked aside. The creature raised its blade. The assassin saw it. She dove, her blade slicing through its visor. Sparks flew, blood spilled. She pulled the human to his feet, her voice sharp. "Do not freeze again." He nodded, his eyes burning now. He grabbed his rifle and fired into the smoke. The battle raged, the cabin cracking under the storm. Yet they stood back to back, every movement tied by survival, every second stretched like hours. Finally, after what felt like eternity, the dropship pulled away. The hunters that lived retreated into the forest, dragging their dead. The hum of engines faded. The night fell silent once more. The cabin was almost destroyed, the walls burned, the roof broken. The human leaned against the shattered frame, breathing hard. His arms shook, but he stood. The assassin dropped to her knees, blood dripping, her body at its limit. Yet her golden eyes glowed. She looked at him, her lips trembling with words she had never spoken before. "You fight like one of us." The human smiled faintly. "Or maybe you fight like one of us." She laughed, weak but real. The sound surprised her. For a moment, there was no war, no hunters, no blood, just two survivors standing in the wreck of a battle. And in that moment, the galaxy's deadliest assassin felt something new. Hope. The night was quiet again, but the quiet was heavy. The cabin stood broken, smoke curling from the roof, burned wood blackened by fire. The human sat near the dying flames, his rifle resting across his knees. His body ached, his hands were cut, but he was alive. Across from him, the assassin sat with her back against the wall. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Her breath was slow, uneven. Her wounds were worse now. Yet she had fought as if death itself feared her. Still, something in her face was different, softer. For a long time. They said nothing. The fire cracked. The wind whispered through the broken walls. Finally, the human asked, "Who are you, really?" Her eyes shifted to him, sharp, testing. For years she had hidden her truth. Every person she met either feared her or tried to use her, but this man, this human who had nothing, had given her something no one else had, shelter. She looked away. Her voice was low. "I was not born to kill. I was made to kill." The human frowned, waiting. She continued, her words slow, heavy. "I was taken as a child. My world was burned. My family erased. The warlords saw me, a girl with strength, and they shaped me into a weapon. They broke me, trained me. They gave me no name. Only numbers. My first kill was when I was barely grown, and from that moment, I was their blade." Her golden eyes glimmered with shadows. "Planets burned because of me. Kings fell because of me. They called me the galaxy's deadliest assassin, and I carried that name like a curse. I killed because I had no choice. I killed because if I refused, they would kill me." The human's heart tightened. He had seen her as dangerous, but now he saw her as broken, a prisoner wearing the mask of a predator. He whispered, "And now they hunt you." She nodded slowly. "Yes, I broke my chains. I refused my last contract. I walked away. And in doing so, I became prey. They want me alive to make me suffer. They want me dead to erase their shame. I cannot hide forever, but I will not bow again." Silence filled the cabin. The human studied her. He saw her pain, her strength, her pride, and her despair, and he spoke words she had never heard. "You are not only what they made you." Her eyes snapped to his. She searched his face for mockery, but there was none, only calm, steady truth. "You are more than a weapon," he said. "You are more than their blade." Her lips trembled, her heart, long frozen, cracked. She wanted to deny it, to laugh, to strike him, but she could not. The words struck deeper than any wound. She whispered, "Why do you care? Human, you do not know me." He gave a small smile. "Because you knocked on my door." Her golden eyes widened. She looked at him, truly looked. For the first time in her life, she saw someone who wanted nothing from her. Not her skill, not her blood, only her presence. She lowered her blade to the floor, her voice softer than ever. "Then maybe I can be something else." The fire burned low, casting long shadows. The night stretched on. The human leaned back, his eyes closing. The assassin sat in silence, her thoughts racing. For years she had been a ghost, a shadow, feared by all. But here, in this broken cabin, with one quiet man, she felt a spark of something she did not understand. Trust, maybe hope, maybe... She looked at him one last time, whispering to herself, "Perhaps I am not alone." And for the first time since she was a child, the galaxy's deadliest assassin allowed herself to sleep. Not with one eye open, but in fragile peace. The morning came with smoke in the air. The forest was too quiet, and silence was never safe. The human woke first, his body sore, his mind heavy. He stepped outside the broken cabin, his rifle in hand. The ground carried fresh marks, deep lines from armored boots. They had not left. They were waiting. The assassin stepped out behind him, her golden eyes sharper now. Her wounds still ached, but her spirit was unbroken. She looked at the sky, and there it was, the dark shape of another dropship circling like a predator above prey. "They're not finished," she said, her voice calm. "This time, they will come with all they have." The human nodded, his grip firm on the rifle. "Then so will we." Inside the cabin, they prepared for the last stand. The assassin checked her blades, her rifle, her movements steady though her body protested. The human filled bottles with fuel, placing them near the windows. His hands worked with quiet determination. He was not a soldier, not a warrior, but he had something else, resolve. The hum of engines grew louder. The earth trembled. The dropship descended, and the forest exploded with fire. Hunters poured out. More than before, armored and armed. Their visors glowed red. Their weapons burned with energy. They marched like an army of shadows. The assassin's heart pounded. For years she had fought alone. Every battle was survival. Every kill was forced. But now she stood with someone beside her. someone who had no reason to fight, yet chose to. She whispered, almost to herself, "This time, I fight for more than life." The human glanced at her, his eyes steady. "We fight for each other." The hunters charged. The cabin shook under the first blasts. Fire spread across the walls. Smoke filled the air. The human fired, his shots sharp and loud. Dropping the first wave, the assassin moved like lightning, her blades flashing. She cut through armor, sparks flying. Her golden eyes burned like suns. The hunters pressed closer, stronger, relentless. The human lit one of the fuel bottles and hurled it through the window. Fire exploded outside. Hunters screamed as flames caught their armor. The assassin leapt into the firelight, striking, slashing, her movements graceful, deadly, yet different. She was not killing for command. She was fighting for choice. A hunter broke through the roof, landing inside, towering over the human, its blade raised. The man raised his rifle, but too late. The assassin dove, her blade slicing through its chest. She saved him again, her breath heavy, her voice sharp. "Do not fall now, I need you." They fought side by side, back to back, their rhythm perfect now. Each covered the other, each strike, each shot was not just survival, was trust. The battle raged long. The dropship fired into the forest, trees falling, fire spreading, the cabin nearly gone. Yet still they stood, two against an army. Finally, the assassin raised her rifle, aiming not at the hunters, but at the dropship itself. Her golden eyes blazed, her voice fierce. No more running, she fired again and again. Her shots tore into the engines. Smoke burst from the ship. The human grabbed his rifle and joined her, their firepower combined. The dropship shook, flames spreading across its hull. With a roar, the ship spun out of control, crashing into the trees with thunder. The ground shook. Fire swallowed the forest. The hunters, without command, scattered into the dark. Their hunt was broken. Silence followed, heavy and endless. The human dropped to his knees, his chest heaving. The assassin stood tall, her body shaking but her eyes bright. For the first time in her life, she had fought not as a weapon, not as prey, but as someone free. She turned to him, her voice soft, almost fragile. "You gave me something no one ever gave me. Not mercy, not escape, but choice. You gave me a reason to fight." The human looked at her, his lips curling into a small, tired smile. "And you gave me a reason to live." The fire burned around them. The cabin was gone, the forest scarred, but within the ruins stood two souls who had defied the galaxy. One human, one assassin, bound not by blood or contract, but by trust. The galaxy would still hunt her. Her name would still carry fear. But now, she was no longer running alone. And as the smoke rose into the sky, the galaxy's deadliest assassin knew the truth. Her story had changed forever, because she had found refuge not in walls, but in a human's heart.